voice of growth, mastering the mind and market. Welcome to the Voice of Growth podcast, Mastering the Mind and Market. My name is Manny Teran, and I'm your host. There's no doubt that AI is taking the world by storm. There's no doubt that it's disrupting all kinds of markets, all kinds of areas. There's no doubt that we have people on one side that are embracing it and climbing onto these new tools like a bucking bronco, and you have other side of the spectrum where you have people that are pushing it away, thinking that it's the devil, and you have everything else in between. There's no doubt that it's increasing in popularity, in power, in adaptability, in reach, and you see all these things happening so quickly. We worked on a podcast when we first launched this podcast about a year ago, and my team did some research, and we had a scientist that said that at that time, AI was at the amoeba stage, meaning it was a single-celled organism in complexity. Fast forward a year, I would say it's probably like an ant in complexity. It's getting more and more complex. It's getting more and more powerful. Things that we worked on a year and a half ago, I look at now, and I feed that back into these large language models. Complete night and day difference. So already in a year and a half, there's been such a tremendous growth in AI. I've said it before that AI will not take your job, but somebody who knows how to use AI will. Somebody who knows how to harness the power, somebody who knows how to launch these agents and use them to their advantage will take your job if you're not careful. So be that person. That's for a different conversation. Today is about what does it take to stand out? What does it take to be fulfilled? What does it take to succeed in the age and the rise of AI? And the simple answer is settle into your humanness. Go inward into your humanness. Own your humanness. So we compiled a list of 10 qualities that we believe are important in order to settle in and become more human. And I say good human in the sense that not a judgment call of good or bad necessarily, but more of how much can you represent to the world your humanness, and in doing so, gain the power, gain the success, gain the joy and the peace. You know, being human is amazing. We have so many experiences in life. We have success, we have joy, we have comfort, but there's also discomfort. There is failure, there is sadness, there is sacrifice. There's all these things put into one area. So to jump in, by settling into your humanness, by owning the fact that you are human, by sharing to the world that you're human, you create stronger bonds. You create more momentum. You strengthen your networks among people, and you're able to take a stand and say, "This is who I am." And by doing so, that gravitas, that gravitational pull, will bring you success, will bring you business, will bring you joy. You still have to use AI, by the way. You still have to have that feature of yourself that knows how to navigate AI and use it to your advantage. But there'll be a lot of other people that are doing the same thing. If you're able to settle into your humanness and stand up and say, "This is who I am," you will not only be more satisfied in your life and have that joy and other things that I mentioned, but you're going to stand out. You're going to be the person in the crowd that is different from the others, and that will attract more of everything that is good. First thing, integrity. Integrity is all about alignment. That means that you're aligned, your acts and your thoughts are aligned with your values of who you are. So there's no gap between what you think and what you say and what you do. Super powerful integrity. This idea is about keeping commitments. This idea is about being strong and have a foundation. So in engineering, if something has integrity, it means it has has the ability to hold weight. It has a foundational character to it. It doesn't leak. It doesn't break apart. So number one, integrity. This is a foundation. Without that, nothing else will stand. Second one, responsibility. Responsibility is about taking ownership and taking full accountability of your actions, your words, and your outcomes. Super important to be responsible and accountable, because as much as it's hard to be a human sometimes, by owning it, you're able to then deal with the consequences and fix it. I am an engineer by education. I am also a man living in 2026. So when I see a problem, I want to fix it. I am constantly fixing stuff around the office, around the house. I'm doing these things because I'm wired that way. So when you accept responsibility and take ownership, that means that you will fix it, you'll deal with it, you make it right. Success is your duty, and that lives in this number 2 of responsibility. Number 3, honesty. Honesty, and this is your truth orientation, is foundational as well. You speak truthfully. You don't distort reality to make things smoother. You're upfront. You lay it down on the table, and you say, this is the way it is. There's such powerful aspects of being honest that far outweigh the seemingly discomfort from being honest. I have people in my life that have struggled with being truthful, that have always tried to skirt around the truth because they believe that it will make things less painful. But in the end, the truth will always come out. The truth and being honest is always the way and the path to take if you want to stand up and be noticed and have all those things come to you. Number 4, compassion. Compassion is strength with humanity. Compassion is understanding others without necessarily exuding your own weaknesses. The idea of showing compassion is one of the most powerful things that I've seen a human do. When we are standing healthy, we're in a place of privilege, when we're a place of gratitude, and we reach across the aisle, we reach down to pick somebody up who needs our help, there's such magic in that. I've been very upfront with my politics of being a libertarian and believing that government should find a very small role in our daily life. I believe the balance that makes up all these other things we need to do as human beings is that level of compassion, is giving in a way that creates that warmth, that reach across the aisle to give people what they need. Compassion is power. There's so much power in it, and there's so much of that internal warmth and fulfillment you get from showing compassion. The idea is that this is not softness. Compassion isn't always about butterflies and rainbows. It's really controlled strength and gratitude and a huge dose of giving, of selflessness, compassion. Number 5, this is one of the Stoic virtues, courage. Courage is you do what's right despite fear, despite knowing some negative consequences, things that will hurt. You go into that burning building knowing that you're going to get burned, and you go in there anyway. That's courage. Courage is having that tough conversation with somebody, even though you know it's going to be uncomfortable and it's going to be painful in the short term, but in the long term will make things right. Courage is you act when others hesitate. I've seen courage play out right in front of me, and there's such power to that. I've always tried very hard to be courageous, even before I went in my Stoic path. as a Boy Scout, as somebody who grew up in a small town with no father and having to support my mother. And so I always try to take that path that was the one that just when things need to be done, you lean into it. I've told a story of an astronaut that we met back when I was in my college days that sounds silly, but had the courage to go get us water when we needed to drink. We were thirsty. I've told that story many times, but fundamentally, he was the star of the night. He was actually the person that was receiving the Hall of Fame award. We happened to be sitting at his table. We all just rolled in from Arizona, thirsty, and the waiter was walking around and not serving us. We didn't even know he was the star guy. Got up, went to the back, came back with a bunch of pitchers, served us, and as he sat down, they called his name, and he gave this beautiful speech. And the idea just is always stuck with me that he did what it took to just fix something, just make things happen. Doesn't sound courageous in the same way because he didn't even think about it, but it was true courage in that he saw a need, no matter what it was, and he made it happen. Number 6, discipline. Discipline is about self-mastery. Discipline has a control factor to it where we control our impulses, our emotions, our behaviors. Discipline is one of the hardest things to wrap our mind around. We actually have to use sometimes some hacks. I've mentioned atomic habits many times. Discipline is dealing with what's right in front of you to the benefit of you in the future. Super hard to understand sometimes, but the power is in the small details. It's in the small wins, that delayed gratification. We do this today so that we can have this tomorrow. When I meet somebody who has discipline, I can read it in their body. I can see how they're dressed. I can see how their cars are. I can see how they carry themselves. And you can tell when somebody is disciplined. And when somebody's disciplined, there's so much power behind that. They did a study of thieves that were looking at who their next subject was going to be. These are pickpockets. These are people that assaulted people. And so they went out and they did a survey to try to understand, why'd you pick that person and not that person? Why'd you decide to attack that person and not that person? And it wasn't always necessarily that somebody was giant or looked menacing. They also pickpocketed those people as well. The number one thing that they actually found out by this study is that when they saw somebody who looked put together, who looked disciplined, who stood straight, who had confidence to them, they tended to not go after people like that because those people were a complete and utter jack in the box. You didn't know what you were going to get. So they didn't even want to go anywhere near that person. They'd go to somebody who's disheveled, who is scooting around, who was looking down at their phone, who was shoulders down and not really exuding confidence. That's who they would attack. So a lot of power in the idea of discipline. Number 7, humility. This is where you know your strength without arrogance. This is where you acknowledge your limitations without insecurity. This is where you are open to learning, that you are still in a place, no matter where you are in life, of still being capable of learning. Humility has a sense of peace to it. When somebody's humble, when somebody, especially if they come from a position of power, when they show that humility, there's so much power to that. It's going to attract people to you when you're humble. Be truly humble. And humility has a certain level of gratitude associated with it. When you're grateful for things, that humility comes in. And actually, gratitude is the next one. So gratitude is about perspective. It's about recognizing what's good. It's about being grateful for what you have. It's about being grateful for what you don't have. A lot of gratitude is about what things do you not have on your shoulders. I'm grateful that I don't have, obviously, a lot of diseases and I'm healthy, but I'm also grateful that I have had challenges in my life This leans on the idea of amor fati, love your fate. I'm thankful and grateful that I've been through so much madness in my life. I've been sued. I've had so many things happen in my life that I'm grateful for them, because those things have forged the person that I am today and made me stronger and more relevant and more capable than anything else could have done. There's so much power in gratitude, and I've done an entire podcast on it before, and it will continue to be on my top of what I see as, especially my mornings, I spend time in gratitude. I spend time thanking God, thanking my life, thanking my opportunities and my failures and everything, because they have brought me so much. The next one is justice. This is another one of the Stoic virtues. Justice is you treat others with fairness and with respect. Justice is you make decisions based on principles, not favoritism, not emotion. Justice is you stand for what's right, even if it's unpopular. This is very subjective at times, but if you lean on your own principles, it becomes crystal clear. Justice is fairness and principle brought together. And the last one I'll bring in for today is contribution. This is your service orientation. This is how you give to the world. You seek to add value beyond your self-interest. This is the selflessness aspect. But if you remember a podcast I did a while ago with Randy Dorman, when I talked about how being selfish is also very powerful, it sounds really bad. The word selfish sounds bad, but it goes back to the adage when you're on that airplane, they tell you to put your own mask on first before you put your child's mask on. It goes the same for your motivation in life. I firmly believe that we need to be selfish in taking care of ourselves, in setting boundaries, in setting our values, our vision, and launching. I think we need to be 100% selfish in doing that. That means you need to protect yourself. That doesn't mean that you need to belittle others or be disrespectful or show just a bad angle towards people. No, it means you get yourself in a good spot first in a selfish way so that you can then be selfless. I have seen people in my life that are not selfish at all. And those people end up buckling over time because they give of themselves. They drain themselves over and over again, and they end up not being able to serve others because they have exhausted themselves. You got to be selfish. You got to be leaning on to your self-interest, but those self-interests need to also align with this list I just told you about. The gratitude, the contribution, all these other things are powerful. So these principles, which I'm going to list in the description here, need to be relied upon so that you can stand apart from all those other people using AI. And to bring it more into a little bit more clarity, go out to events, go to networking, go to the park, go to restaurants, be out there in the community. Because if you live behind a screen, if you live on a Reddit channel, you're not going to go anywhere. You're going to be just you're going to be a username, which that's already occurring right now, by the way. It's been happening for decades. But as agents come into the fray even more and more and more, all they have is a username. All the agent has is a username, is its ability to email and send voice messages and video message. I mean, they're still going to come through devices. But if you're a human being, settle into that. Lean into that. Lean into the humanness. Spend time. Get on the phone with people. Go have lunch with people. I once had a sales manager that said he wanted me to be at lunch with a customer or a partner or a vendor every day of the week. What that means is you're breaking bread, you're connecting with people, and you're forming that momentum that will separate you from all the agents. Thank you for your time. Lean into your humanness, and we'll talk to you later. Cheers.